Thank you. Durkin.
Yes, thank you. The order of events was that there was an extensive evaluation of the chancellor and in-person evaluation in executive session, a summary of that, a published evaluation, discussion at the meeting on the 14th, and an extension of the contract that was already in place on the same terms. Mr. Lambert did not receive a raise. Now, that said, I support Chancellor Lambert, and I support the change that he is working so hard to accomplish at Pima Community College. It is very difficult. That said, I don't agree with 100% of what he does. He'd be the first to tell you that the board has many times pushed back, and I'm probably one of the most vehement when I do that. But I've also run large operations. I know how hard change is. I know that you have to push and push. You have to be listening. You have to be willing to change your course when necessary. But we have got to move forward. So I am definitely in support of the extension of the contract and the chancellor.
Thank you both. The next question is, do you think the college could offer free or subsidized daycare on campuses or at centers? And Mrs. Durkin, you go first.
Yes, in fact, I think this is the way of the future. We're seeing that being done across the country. We haven't visited it here yet, but I'm familiar with the TUSD program of using some of the closed sites to provide child care for faculty. And I believe that there were efforts, at least when I was still there, to extend that to other employers in the community, including the city of Tucson. I think Pima Community College could do the same. I think we do have excessive space in some of our facilities, and we could use them for that purpose. We also have an early childhood program. So I support it. I think it's the way of the future, and I think we'll see it happen.
There's no question about it. Look, we have in this community probably one of the poorest communities in the country. I think we're rated between the 5th and 8th most poorest region in the entire country. So what that tells me is that we have a lot of low-income people here, and certainly a lot of low-income single moms, and I'm sure we have some single dads as well. So we need to have that, and I think that if this board or future board get together and put together some innovative ways of doing this and funding it, I think would be a great thing for this community. So I agree with Mrs. Durkin. This is something that we need to do. It's not just the way of the future. We used to have a daycare at Pima Community College years ago, and we need to bring it back.
Thank you. And I have another question here. And just to let everybody know, the last question will be asked at 6:42. Then we'll receive the answer and we will move on to closing statements, just to let you know. What kind of transparency mechanism does PCC use to ensure the public that its funds are being used wisely? And Mr. Gonzalez, you go first.
One of the biggest problems that Pima Community College has had for the last, I'm going to say, 5 years is a lack of transparency. The lack of transparency in many different ways. Back in the times where there weren't any computers and what have you, the way to get the word out to communities was to have public forums where the community could come in, they could go through the budgets, they could ask people in the community what it was that they felt that they needed in the budgets, and work in concert with the communities. That concept has gone away. Now, institutions think that the only way to do it is to put it on the website. And not everybody has a computer. not everyone has the ability to go and look into a website and look to see where the money is being spent. But I think that one of the other problems that we have here is that the college has been very reluctant to let information go. Freedom of Information Acts are sometimes not even responded to. And so I think that we really need to open it up.
Thank you. Mrs. Durkin?
Thank you. I agree that transparency has been an issue that the college has struggled with, but I don't agree that it's been a problem with the expenditure of funds. That information is readily available. The board receives excellent reports in study sessions and board meetings before adopting a budget. We have a Finance and Internal Audit Committee that reviews all of our financials and makes reports accordingly. We have a monthly report, financial update by our Chief Financial Officer. So that part is covered, but there's work to be done in transparency. And the way you do that is to make sure that we have properly noticed public meetings, that we provide information even without being asked, that we hold forums. It's not just the board that needs to be transparent. So you've seen much more in this last year, not only at board meetings, but the administration has embraced transparency by holding forums on the Higher Learning Commission visit and on the findings and on our remedial action. There's going to be a forum for all of the college regarding the reorganization. So there are problems with transparency. We've taken many steps to address that. We'll continue to work on it. But I think the financials are very, very much open.
Thank you.
The next question is, within the last year, name one change you would have made that affects adult basic education or credit students. Mrs. Durkin, you're first. Thank you.
Well, for the adult basic education students, I would like to expand the program and expand iBest. That is one of the best programs I'm aware of at the college, and if you don't know, it's the one where at the same time that you're getting your high school equivalency, you can also get a certificate. Right now it's limited to just, I think, mental health, social worker, some certificate like that, but we could expand it to others and have the students that attend the adult basic education program be able to start contributing to their families and to our community right away when they get the GED or what's now called the equivalency. And with regard to the other programs, I'd like to see us do more in outreach. I'd like to see us help the students or potential students that apply and take the assessment and maybe never make it to enrollment. And we've made some changes, but we can do more. We can offer one-on-one contact or online contact with these students or potential students to make sure they feel welcome. So that would be an area that I would work more on.
Thank you. Mr. Gonzalez?
Yeah, one of the benchmarks of community college, and Piedmont College in particular, has been over the years, adult basic education. And how do we deal with it? A few years ago, one of the things that happened at the college under a previous administration was that they wanted to become a four-year institution. And in that process, what happened is that they did away with about 200 developmental classes. Now, that has had a devastating effect on adult basic education. What we really need to do is to go back and review every one of the 5 core functions of the college, which includes adult basic education, and begin to fund them equally. We're not doing that right now. Most of your focus today is on workforce development, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you cannot meet the needs of workforce development if you don't meet the needs of adult basic education and careers. And so that's one of the things that we really need to do. And yes, we do need to expand it, and we need to put more money into it. And we're not doing that right now. They're just unequal. And that's one of the reasons why you have declining enrollment in Pima Community College to the tune of 36% in the last 6 years.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Both have gave your answers? Did you both answer the same
Yes.
question?
Yes.
Okay. I have one last question. What will you specifically do on the board to improve PCC/DUSD and other districts in joint education opportunities? And Mrs. Durkin, go first.
Well, that is an important area. The dual enrollment at the high schools is critically important. That's going to assist the high school students in college readiness, and it's going to also improve our admissions process and our enrollment. But to make that stronger, we need stronger partnerships with the districts. We have done some of that this last year with the high schools in particular and with JTED. So I'd continue doing that and improving that, having a bigger presence on the high school campuses and making sure that high schools know how to align their programs to the programs at Pima College that their students may be interested in. And then you go from the other direction as well to the U of A, the articulation agreements we have with the U of A to make sure that Pima College students who are interested in a 4-year degree have a clear way to achieve that by having their 2 years at Pima count so that they only need to do 2 more years of U of A.
Well, I believe we need to start earlier than just simply high school. I think we need to start in the middle schools and begin working in partnership with USD, Amphitheater, Sunnyside, Sahuarita, all of the school districts within Pima County, so we can begin growing our students into Pima Community College, hopefully, or if they're ready to go into a 4-year institution, they can. But I think we have to have agreements. We really have to get down and get busy on how we're going to grow our own students and how we're going to move towards student success, even from the middle schools, high schools, and on into the community college system, as well as into the university system. And we also need to have some partnerships with the University of Arizona, because I think they have some really pretty good innovative ideas, innovative programs that we all put in place to make sure that not only we're working with students, but we're working with teachers, and make sure that teachers are the ones that we can put into the classrooms to work with students at the QSD level, at the unified school level, and our public schools.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Just kidding, we have time for one more. Okay, so the real last question is the AFSCME believes a strong meet and confer process allows us to work towards the shared goals of facilitating harmonious relations between employees and management, enhancing performance, maximizing efficiency, reducing costs, and overall improving of our students and community. Will you support keeping a strong meet and confer policy to assure elected employee representatives, our unions have a strong voice at the college, and will you oppose moves to weaken the meet and confer process? Mr. Gonzalez, you may go first this time.
Look, I think a little bit of history here is appropriate. I'm a strong proponent of labor organizations. I've been a union steward in a number of different capacities as I was growing up working in the private sector. And so I understand what it is and what it means to families trying to make a living who belong to labor organizations. I believe that meet and confer must be fair. I believe that we need to make sure that those processes are ongoing. At Pima Community College, we've had a problem with meet and confer with the unions that are there now. In fact, I was at a meeting one time when there were members of the organization coming up before the board, and they were very, very upset because they couldn't even reach an agreement on 2 or 3 items that should have been fairly simple to resolve. So the answer is yes. I support labor organizations. I believe that labor organizations have a right to bargain for their own lot. And I think that we as a governing body need to make sure that they have a right to negotiate for better benefits and wages.
Mrs. Durkin?
Yes, I support the meet and confer process. I'm a strong proponent of meet and confer and unions making our worlds a better place. Unions have been working for centuries to make the work environment better and for our rights. So I'm a very strong proponent. I want to work with the unions. And the meet and confer process is the way we do that in Arizona. We're a right-to-work state, and we've got rules about being a government employer that keep us from doing collective bargaining. But we can meet and confer in good faith. We can come to the best solutions for the employees and for management, and most important for our students. So I'm a proponent. I can tell you that the way that Pima College does it is very different. I've worked in meet and confer at the county, the city, and TUSD, and it has run smoothly. We negotiated an ordinance at the city that lets us all know all of the rights. But we have work to do at Pima Community College. I'm willing to lead that effort. I have made attempts to get us to codify the process a little bit better, and if elected, I promise to continue to do that.
Thank you both. So again, we want to thank everybody for their time and their inputs. Also to both of you for taking your time to be here. If your question was not answered and you wish to speak to the candidates, if they have chosen to stay, you're more than welcome to stay and discuss these issues further. And I'll turn it over to Anna.
Now you have 1 minute for your closing statements. And let's start with Mrs. Durkin.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I hope in this time you've learned a little bit more about me. I am happy to stick around and answer some questions if you'd like. But I want you to just understand my passion for Pima Community College, the amazing resource it is for this community. And while it makes many contributions, its best contribution is providing access to higher education and job training for all. Successful communities have an educated population. An educated population attracts responsible businesses, responsible employers. It attracts, the educated community are people that will promote public education. They support the arts, the environment, and recreation in our community. And they vote. They engage in the democratic process, and they have civic pride. So I believe that Pima Community College is providing what we need in all of those areas: education, civics, job training. And so I promise, if elected, to continue to work to increase access to higher education for all, to protect and improve, enhance as much as we can Pima Community College for you and for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me just start by saying that if you elect me to the Pima Community College Board, you're going to see a guy who's going to hit the pavement running. I don't need an OJT process to get me acclimated to what is going on around us. I have the experience. I've been around for a while. I've served in the legislature. I've served in various boards and commissions. So I have a pretty good idea of what we need to do. And making decisions as a body is very, very important here. You need to work collaboratively with people that are on the board. You need to sit down and talk out the issues that are there, even if you disagree, and come up with solutions. It's very easy to rant and rave about the problems that exist. It's a lot more difficult to find solutions. And that's what I'm all about. And the way we do it is to make it in a way that is honest, that you have integrity, in a way that you're accountable, and that you're transparent above all. Thank you.
Again, we would like to thank all of those who were able to be here tonight, including volunteers, students, Pima Police, El Rio Learning Center, and the Adult Basic Education Program. To the voters, please remind your friends and family to vote on November 8th from 7 to 7.
Yeah.
I'd like to close this forum by thanking all of the candidates for their participation in our democratic process. Thank you, all of you. Have a wonderful night. Now we can clap.